All right, here we go. Episode 4 of the True Strength podcast. We have Tanner Shuck, Scott Solomon, Taylor Rank, and myself, John Britton. How we doing, guys? Let's go around real quick. Tanner Shuck, how are you?
Good, man. I'm having a kid tomorrow, so I'm excited, nervous, but I'm more excited that I am nervous, and I'm, really blessed to, I think, be a father. Fingers crossed, everything's gonna go well. So I'm doing good, though. Thank you.
Things are going to go great. We definitely wish the best for Tinica.
Thank you.
Scott, how about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. Happy to be here. Tanner, congratulations. I think you're going to be a great dad.
Appreciate it.
And how about yourself, Taylor Rank?
I'm excellent, man. We had our first family weekend on the mountain this past weekend. It was great. Larissa got back on skis, man, so it was nice to be out in nature having fun. And yeah, man, I'm pumped for Tanner. Hopefully everything goes nice and smooth. The C-section planning can be nice because, there's less unpredictability and things like that. So I hope it goes smoothly, man.
Yeah. Also, it's still mind blowing for me that you're in New Zealand and it's ski season now, because for a lot of the world it's summertime. So it's just it blows my mind.
Yeah, I had a summer birthday my entire life until I lived here, and it's strange.
That's winter, yeah.
It's strange too, though. Like having Christmas barbecues and stuff, and like that's pretty weird. It doesn't quite feel like Christmas because of that, but it's still pretty cool.
Right. Does
I was. Oh,
does the school year go the other way around? So Christmas is during summer holidays.
Yeah, and everything starts. So the school year and everything starts like in January, February, and it ends in November. So everything runs like in the calendar year. So it's actually quite nice rather than having like school start in August and then run into the new year and stuff like that.
Well, but I heard that the toilets also go in reverse too. The opposite
That's
way.
correct. The drains and stuff they do. So if there's no like forced turn, it is the opposite way because it
We
just
are
drains.
we are referring to the Simpsons episode where Bart goes down under, correct?
That's where we learn.
wait. I got a serious question. Dude, is that actually real? Because I heard I researched that the other day, and I think it was fake. But is it real that they spin the other way?
So I didn't use a toilet. I used my bathtub, and I was on the phone with my father, and I asked my dad which way his bathtub spins when it drains out. And I think he said it was either, I can't remember, but I could do it tonight. But ours was the opposite, like real time in the phone. I was like,
Yeah.
clockwise or whatever. So
Okay, so, and I could be wrong, but you know how they have hurricanes and they have cyclones?
yeah,
Essentially the same thing. Like, I think a hurricane's in the northern hemisphere and a cyclone's in southern. And I think those do actually rotate in opposite directions, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe I'm just a total dumbass. But
No,
I
but
feel
I
like I'm
think I
not.
think you're correct, Tanner. I think
I
that
think
is.
I am.
I think you are.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be someone listening that's just like, these idiots. No, it doesn't
Yeah.
work that
Let's
way.
just talk about strength and fitness, god damn it.
Well, look, I mean, so I sent this to you guys earlier, but our first topic we're gonna talk today. For three of us, summer holidays are about to start, and I would say a good majority of our listeners. So, what's the strategy? Like, we want to stay consistent with training, and for clients to stay consistent with training while they deal with holidays and time off and family time and all that stuff. So what's your strategy? What can we recommend for people that want to stay consistent training through the summer holidays? Hand up, who wants to start?
I want Scott and Taylor to go before me because I know my answer, but I feel like I want them to provide value to people first.
All right.
Well, I would just say, honestly, I'll just say keep doing what you're doing. Um, you, what difference does it make? I don't really, I guess I don't understand the question. So going
Well,
into summer break, I feel like you have more time.
I mean, I think for a lot of people, they might travel somewhere. They might be, away. They might not have access to a gym, or, they're just their routine and everything is completely different. So it's just kind of like, what do you do to, what strategies are you going to use?
Okay, so if you're traveling, or I guess a good idea here too is like, for me, I have both my kids at home, all right, and it's summer break, so they're home like all day every day, okay. And what we do is we do a ton of meal prep. What my wife and I do, like what we did tonight, we made so much ground beef that it should last at least like 2 days, okay, which is a lot for us. But like every meal we cook is basically uh, meal prep into the next day, and that would be a good strategy um, for anyone, with a family and both kids at home.
Okay. Taylor, how about yourself? What can you
Um,
recommend?
and kind of in that same vein, I was going to say, like, why is a holiday different? It's still your life, it's still your body, it's still your livelihood that you have to take care of. So I guess I always have nutrition as the foundation, right? So even when I travel, even when I have, changed my schedule and all that, I still hearken on, I'm always going to have the nutrition on point, because if your nutrition's on point, not eating shit food and all that stuff, you can get away with a lot of other stuff, right? And then I also kind of have the mindset that I don't need to train like I always do if I'm traveling or something. All right. Like there is an exception given like the type of activity I'm going to be doing, but that's not an excuse to just like completely fall off the wagon or do something like that. Like, go for a run, find a playground, go for a hike, just be active, move around. And then still adhere to your nutrition principles. And I mean, I think you're going to be all right. I think a lot of people have anxiety when it comes to travel, and they get worried about, they're going to lose their gains or they're going to put on weight or all that kind of stuff. And it's like, hey, enjoy life. You're a human. Okay. Even if you do lose some strength, you can get it right back. Just, enjoy life and be in the moment, and, you know, have your pillars that you stick to.
Okay, fair enough. And Tanner?
Yeah, I really liked Scott and Taylor's answer, and like actually the more I thought about this question, like that's probably the right answer. Like my initial thought was like, oh, why are people are just gonna get in shape for summer so they look good for summer, like their little summer shred. And I've always hated that. And I'm like, just raise your standards and just like, why only be in shape for summer? Like for me, I'm the kind of guy like I want to be in shape all the time. Like I will be able to take my shirt off anytime, anywhere, and look good and be proud of who I am. So my initial thought was like, all right, just raise your freaking standards. If you're just trying to get in shape for summer, you need to raise your standards so you're in shape all the time. But then I actually think the direction you were going with this question, John, was some strategies that people can use for when they do travel. Because obviously, people, they are going to go travel, they're going to enjoy their life. And I liked what Scott and Taylor said, and I kind of want to echo that. And what I do when I travel is I'll just commit to getting 2 or 3 full body workouts a week while I'm traveling, and I keep them very simple. And I will literally do 2 or 3 exercises, and I'll train every 2 or 3 days, so I can enjoy my vacation. My vacation's not working around my training. My training is I'm just fitting my training into the vacation. And I think the best thing you can do is obviously continue to eat good food, still hit some weights or some kind of resistance training, even if it's body weight only, and hit every major muscle group in your body in a short, 30 to 45-minute session. And that's all you do. And just maintain your strength while on vacation. Don't try to get stronger, but don't let yourself get weaker either.
Yeah.
That would be like my best suggestion, so you can go travel, enjoy yourself, but not come back from after vacation and just feel like really out of shape.
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you
All
got,
right.
John? What do you got? Whatever
Well,
you.
for me, I think duration is a huge factor. And when I say that, like, if you're traveling for 1 week, or less than, I say don't sweat it. Like, look, you've worked hard the whole year. You are not going to lose anything in a week of rest. It's probably going to do
Yep.
good for you. If you're traveling for 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that's a very different story, because that is enough time that you can actually lose some strength, lose some gains. So I think it's really dependent on duration. If you're gone for more than a week, it's probably worth finding a gym. If you truly don't have access to a gym, you're out at you're camping or whatever it is. If you're one of our clients, we have body weight workouts, zero equipment workouts we can upload for you. But make the effort, like Tanner said, find a gym 3 times a week. 45 minutes is what you need. Get your main lifts in, and that's my advice. Is just look at your duration, and then you guys all said the same thing. Just don't eat like an asshole for weeks. We've talked about this before. Like, if you're going to have a big meal with family at the end of the day, then save up your calories. Only eat protein for the day, so at that evening you can go and you can have your full meal and maybe some dessert, and you've sort of banked those calories for yourself. So, Tanner.
I literally just did that, John. So I took Tenica out. We had a steak, and I just ate, me and her split a 2,000 calorie piece of carrot cake. Okay? But I didn't really eat lunch today either. So all I did was I had breakfast, then I just drank a couple protein shakes throughout the day to keep protein in my system. And then I knew I had a pretty big, probably had at least, I don't know, 1,500 calories that I was able to eat for dinner. I might have went a little bit over on my calories, but I'm not that worried because I could just not have breakfast tomorrow morning and I'll be right back to where I should be. So exactly what John said, like, plan ahead. Or if you have those unforeseen, events where you do go over on your calories or you eat and treat yourself, then just for the next couple days, deprive yourself a little bit if you overindulged, and you'll be right back on track. That's literally how your body works. It's so simple. People just forget sometimes. I think it's always good for them to be reminded.
Yep.
But of course, and this has come up before too, but you just don't want to do that all the time. Obviously, like that would fall into the category of if it fits your macros, and you don't want to start going down that road.
100%. It can't be your norm. It's not sustainable to do every day.
How good was
Tanner.
that carrot cake though? Tony? How good was it?
Dude, we went to Ruth Chris Scott, the same place that we went to dinner last year with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah, it was
remember.
good, bro. It was killer. But I just actually wanted to like remind everyone on this. I know you guys know this. You probably heard me say this 100 times, but this kind of falls, when you're traveling or things come up and you're not as consistent with your training or your nutrition. Just remember, your body does not care about vacations. Your body does not care about special occasions, your birthdays, or anything. Your body at all times in your life cycle is only responding to the stress and stimulus that it's exposed to. Okay, so just be prepared. If you're going to go on vacation, you're going to drink alcohol, you're going to eat some low quality shit food, just understand that's the stress and stimulus that you're exposing your organism to. And you're probably going to feel like shit and look like shit if you expose it to too much of that particular stress and stimulus. That's all it is. And so, like you said, John, it's very important the duration of the vacation or, whatever it is, that's very, very important. And if you're going to be, if you're going traveling longer than like 7 days, I would definitely find a gym so you can kind of maintain, because you have to remember that's how training works. You have to expose your organism to the right kinds of stress and stimulus for it to adapt and to build muscle, to stay strong, to stay lean. Otherwise, your body just always goes back to baseline. And basically, everybody, your organism, your baseline's just kind of a soft, weak, shitty version of yourself. Okay, so whenever you see someone that's in shape all the time, that's because that person is training pretty much all the time. They never let themselves get out of shape. So that's just a consideration that I want everyone to remember when they're thinking about that. Okay?
Quickly, sorry, I'm going to piggyback to and just say the reason why we do the 3 day split is so you get a workout every third day. Your body starts to experience atrophy within 3 days of not working out, a body part. So that's why we structure the workouts the way we do, and that's what you need to think about when we're talking about duration and vacation.
And just so you guys know, that question came up because I had a call yesterday with Eric Orton, and Eric's one of our clients and great guy. His wife just finished her treatments, and they're going on a 4 week Norwegian cruise through the Baltics. And he was like, "I'm going to just take." And I was like, "Does the boat have a gym?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, you're working out," and he just decided that he is going to get just workouts a weekend, and so stick with it.
Yeah, if Eric, actually, it can be anyone. If you go on some whatever extended vacation, you can do push-ups anywhere. You can do air squats anywhere. You could do a split squat, with putting your back foot on your bed or a couch. You can do that literally anywhere. Oftentimes, you can find a place to do pull-ups. You can find some kind of ledge or bar where you could do pull-ups. And I'm dead serious. If you simply just do strict pull-ups, strict push-ups, and like a rear foot elevated split squat, you're hitting every major muscle group in your body, and you're gonna give yourself a pretty potent training stimulus if you push your sets close to failure. And dude, you're gonna maintain everything. So I hope Eric, if he listens to this, or anyone else, man, whether you have access to a gym or not, it's really no excuse. You can keep your muscle and you can still train anywhere, even in like a freaking broom closet. It really doesn't matter. It's just really your mindset.
Yeah. Just I hope you don't have to train in a broom closet.
Hopefully.
Our second question. So I just want to discuss this. I mean, for those that don't know, myself and Scott have kind of committed to by the end of the year benching 405. Scott, do you have a certain strategy for that, or is it just you're training as is and you're going for it? How's that working for you?
So that's a good question. So another part of my another one of my goals by the end of the year is to hit 225 overhead press, one rep. And so that's kind of that that alone's kind of holding me back from bench pressing more than I am. So I'm just training as is. I will say, like, if you're talking about specific strategy, I've been doing a Windler to kind of see where I'm at, and I've recently gone back to the tried and true 3x8, 4x6, 5x5 to
Okay.
really continue building strength. What's up, Tanner?
I want you to just expand on the Wendler, because for listeners, they're not going to know what that is. If you could just kind of briefly explain that, I think that'll just give people more context.
Okay, Windler. So, so a Windler is basically a pyramid up to a top set. Okay, in my case, I'm doing a phase where the first week is reps of five, second week is reps of threes, the third week is a five, a three, build up to a one plus set, and then back down to a three five. So that really exposes strength. It allows you to, lift heavy weight, less reps, obviously heavier weight, and it gets your body used to that kind of stimulus. Um, but overall, personally, I would say that if you are looking to build strength, long-term strength, more general strength, the 3x8, 4x6, 5x5 is a better strategy for that. But the 5-3 Windler, 5-3-1 Windler has a purpose. It shows you, it exposes the strength, right? Um, but I started to get a little stagnant there. That's why I went back.
Okay. Okay. And so this past weekend, you guys remember, Eliza, I actually coached her. She did her first weightlifting meet, and I coached her through it. She went 4 for 6, missed 2 snatches, but she did okay. Anyways, there I met a guy named Pat who he was a world level power lifter, and I was kind of telling him, and he said you probably got to bench 2 or 3 times a week if you actually want to get to it. And now it's got me thinking where I might have to start benching twice a week because 400 pounds is a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's a really
Yeah.
good point. So have you looked into that strategy, or have you changed anything?
Not yet, but I think I'm going to have to, and I think it's going to be kind of one heavy day, one more explosive day that's going to go along with it. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. But what I've been doing lately for stress is I'm doing a quite different than you, where I do RPE and maxes. So, I started with 5 rep maxes, then I moved to 3 rep maxes, then one with the deload. So basically, you do 3 weeks of fives, 3 weeks of threes, 3 weeks of ones, and I'm about to go back to sixes, fours, then twos. So you do your max, and then you do back off sets after, and it's a different strategy, and it can kind of allow you to go as heavy as you feel on the day. So if you're ready to push, you can. If you're not, then you're still okay to back off, and your 3 rep max is whatever. Tanner.
Wait, quickly. Hold on, John. So, can you explain that further? So, you work up to a max every single week?
Basically, so let's say it started with a 5 rep max, but at a 7 or 8 RPE. So you're not pushing to 100%. So it should be a max that you can hit, and I would say you have 1 or 2 reps left in the tank. The next week you go a little bit heavier, and hopefully you're hitting a little bit more. And then the last week, it is a true max. All right. And then you have a deload, and then you shift it down to threes, and you're basically hitting those. And then your back off sets would be basically at 90%. You hit, 3 or 4 sets with that.
Okay. Okay.
Tanner.
So John, I just want to, because I'm always curious to know, like, learn new little training cycles. So basically, you would do 3 consecutive weeks of a 5 RM and try to get a little bit heavier each week. The fourth week deload.
Yeah.
Then you'd start another 3 week cycle of 3 rep maxes, fourth week deload. And then basically you would do 3 consecutive weeks of heavy singles, trying to build up.
Yeah, and heavy
Yeah.
singles. And after the singles, I would hit actually a set of 10. So
Just to get the volume.
and then you get the volume in with a set of 10. And so that's what I've been doing, and yeah, it's different, but it has worked for me well in the past.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds great. That sounds great. What I was gonna ask to, or what I was gonna kind of bring up is the benching 2 times a week. And the strongest I've ever been, I was close to like a 500 pound. I think it was 485 bench press. And at that time I was much younger. I was able to recover from, benching hard 2 times a week. But even then, one day was very explosive and very light. 70%, 70% or less even explosive. Yep. And then the next, the next bench day would be in the 5s to 3s. So,
Yep.
What'd you say, Tanner?
So I was gonna ask too for you both, because I'm genuinely wondering, because I think it's super impressive. It's a great goal. You guys want to get back up to a 4 plate bench, and I think both of you guys can do it. Have you guys considered, instead of only training or only changing maybe your training cycles, have you just considered just gaining weight? Because Scott, if you remember when you benched 485, you probably weighed how much more? What, 30 pounds more than you do now? I don't even know.
I was like 40. Yeah, I was 40 pounds heavier.
Bro, 40. So you were just a much bigger guy. And have you guys considered that? I know you probably don't want to just like gain a bunch of weight and get, a little bit fat or chubby just to bench 405. But
Yeah.
I don't think it would kill either of you guys. And if you guys put on 5, 10 pounds of just being in a huge calorie surplus, I think that would help you move your bench.
The answer is no for me. I'm
No?
it's. I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to gain a bunch of weight for this. I want to do it at my body weight, and ideally stay with basically the same body fat percentage. It like I don't want to say it's not important to me, but it's not important to the point where I would actually change my body composition for it.
How much do you weigh, John, right now?
Uh, Last I checked was right at 94 kilos, so
So
that's like
you wouldn't even get up to like
207,
90.
208.
Yeah, you wouldn't even get up to like 210 or 212.
I really don't want to know. And
Wow.
from what I recall, when I did bench 400 the first time, I think I was the same body weight, just younger.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So Tanner, you were saying it's not going to kill you to gain weight, and for me though, what's going to kill me is not being able to bench 405. I'll do whatever it takes.
There you go.
I don't care. I'll try to bench
That's it.
405. If I have to
Yeah,
gain
that's what
40
I'm.
pounds and be a fat ass, I'm gonna do it. I don't care.
Okay. The other
I
thing is like, sorry, just because we're literally so, you know, and I think this is an important takeaway for everyone listening. I am looking at doing this in 6 months. It's still literally we're at the halfway point of the year tomorrow. So I'm not thinking about doing this in September. I am thinking about doing this in December, and it's a slow process. So that's also which is why I believe it's possible without gaining weight. It's a slow process, and with some twice a week focus on it, I really believe it's possible. I just with my one arm maxes, I did hit 370, so or 368. So that's why it's not a crazy thing.
I was going to ask where you're at now, Scott. What do you know what your one rep max probably would be right now?
I did last time I tried a one rep man, I haven't had, you know what? I haven't even had a spotter. And for me, like for John, he's just like a no spotter kind of guy, you know? For me, man, like the spotter makes a huge difference, a huge difference.
No. So sorry,
Okay.
Scott. I won't bench. Actually, last week I did a bench at 155, so that's 342 without a spotter, and then the one after that I used a spotter. The,
Okay.
that was too heavy without, and I was kind of after. I was like, ooh. So
Yeah, I did 365 to answer your question. I did 365. This was last month, or maybe even 2 months ago. 365, no spotter. But in order to get, like this, John, in order to get stronger, it just takes time. Like one rep max at 370 or 365 is still a very long way away from 405.
yeah, yeah, very very long. So and 6 months, like that's why I said it's not tomorrow. It's 6 months away. Tanner.
Yeah, that's why I benched 315 about a month ago, and I want to get back to that because now I've lost strength because I obviously got really sick and I've also lost a bit of weight. But if I was coaching a guy how to get to a 405 bench, I would just say it's going to take a while. You're probably going to want to gain some weight. I'd be eating a lot of carbs. I'd be eating like a small surplus. If I got a little bit fluffy, not a big deal. And when I say like a little bit fluffy, like you're not losing your abs or anything, but you're just not like as lean as you are normally. I would be taking a bunch of creatine, like 10 grams a day minimum. I'd be benching probably twice a week. And just like what you said, John, have like a heavy day and then like a light day. Because you just bench pressing, just like anything, it's a skill. It really is. Yeah, and just be prepared, to be patient, man. But dude, a 4 plate bench, man, that shit is impressive. Especially in your late 30s, especially doing it naturally. I'd be very, very impressed. Be super pumped if you guys hit that. I hope you guys do. I think you will.
It's going to be funny when John hits a 4 plate bench press, but it's not quite 405 because it'll be 396 if you've got 180 on the bar.
Yeah.
No. I will have to make it. It'll be 184 kilos, so that'll be 405. I get it. I get
But
it.
I believe we can both get there. It's not impossible. So what are you gonna do once you get there though? Going for
Then
500?
No, then I think the focus will shift.
Just quit working out.
Yeah, that's it. Like I'm
I'm
out.
walking away,
Walk
putting
off,
on my
dude.
lifting shoes. You know what I was thinking though is what if okay, so I never want to not bench 405 once I get there. You know, it's taken like a year and a half, or it's gonna probably take a year and a half of pretty concerted effort, right? So why not just like once a month do like a check in at 105 or 405? You know, just to like just make sure it's still coming up.
I think it's going to depend on the ease and what it goes like and how much I actually have to peak to get to it. And I think the difference too with me and you is the fact that you've benched in your life 485. I think you have a different kind of perspective where like the most I've ever benched is 182 kilos, so right at 400 pounds. So it might also be a different thing when we get there. So we'll have to see, but I don't. Well, I can't say, but I think it might be really tough to maintain. I could be wrong.
I think you're right, John. I think you're kind of going into uncharted territory, and Scott will be kind of swimming in some familiar waters. I still think, John, let yourself get up to 210, even 215 to hit that 405 bench. I still think it might be necessary, bro. You could try to stay as lean as you want and to do it that way, man. But I think you'll have more success if you just let yourself gain, 5, 10 pounds of just mass.
And once I like also, you bring up a good point. You bring up a really good point, both of you guys, because once you've been there before, it's just kind of like you've acquired that skill because strength is a skill. Lifting heavy is a skill, and it requires adaptation of the neurons. Saying okay, like muscles, let's lift this weight. So
Yeah.
if you've had any familiarity with that before, that's why I ask clients like, what's been your experience? What are you lifting now? What have you lifted in the past? All that. Um, but like, dude, it's heavy. It's heavy for me right now at 37. It's heavy.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying, Scott, too, and I think a big thing too, this is confidence, man. I think you could confidently go into 405. You could go into benching 405 probably more confidently than John could because you've benched 405 many times before, where it's John's never done it. Like I said, it's kind of an uncharted territory. Like for me, like I'd be hesitant and nervous to deadlift 600 pounds, but dude, I will deadlift 500 pounds any day of the week, no matter how I feel, because I've deadlifted 500 pounds, dude, whatever, probably 200 times in my life. I've done it a lot, you know? And so it's like, just like familiarity and confidence goes a long way too, I think, especially with strength, you
Why
know?
why does deadlifting 600 pounds make you nervous, Tanner? Okay, so we are going to we're going to move on. So I sent Scott and Taylor a question. You guys are fathers. You both have two children. What advice do you have for Tanner in the next for tomorrow and in the next coming weeks? Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, I can't see Taylor's screen. Can you guys see him?
I can. Yeah, but it was off for a while, Scott.
Okay, so
And John's been frozen for like 10 minutes. So I can't see. John's camera's frozen for me.
sorry. Go ahead, Taylor.
What advice for like the initial coming weeks, man? Like, I don't know, man. Long story made short, man, is like I thought I was prepared to have a kid, and then you find out what it's like to have a kid. All right, it's going to take a lot. I mean, it's hard to explain. What really actually helped me for the most part was my wife is a developmental psychologist. So understanding through her how the mind of a child develops was absolutely instrumental and helpful. All right. For example, they go through these things called leaps, which is where they become more cognitively aware. Their cognition improves. But that kind of, when they're young, doesn't happen gradually. There's these stages where it kind of hits them. And in that stage, it's almost like too much for them, right? So for me, like understanding that when my child is upset, like they don't want to be upset, right? That's not their choice, right? Could you imagine being completely helpless, sitting there wanting to be cuddled or feeling shitty and having no way to express that to somebody, right? That's essentially what they are. So they can either yell, cry, or coo to essentially get what they want to. So me knowing that and kind of having a viewpoint through that lens is basically me being there to support my wife and to help my child. Like, and for the first couple of weeks, that's really, really tough because you're kind of like, I say the wandering sideshow because mommy is everything, right? She has the milk, she has the smell, she has it all. So for the first couple of weeks, man, your job is going to be there for your wife and to give her a break. And you're probably not going to be the one that's wanted, and it's going to be really tough when your kid's pissed off that it has to have you. But it's a privilege to be there to help your wife and to be there for your kid. Because what kind of child do you want to be? And that's going to be they're going to be who you mold them into by how you act, man. So just be there for your wife and your kid, and you're going to be the sideshow for a while, man. But it changes.
Oh, for sure. I think that's great advice. I've heard that before too. And that's exactly what I want to do. I just want to be there to help and support my wife and get her through this initial, whatever, 1 or 2 months, when it's basically a newborn baby. That's what it's, well, thank you, Taylor. What about you, Scott?
Well, first off, you know, if I were talking to almost anybody else, I'd say, "Oh, you're gonna have to find some discipline." All right, buddy. But you know what? You already have that part, man. So like, you, it's, you're gonna do great. The thing is, nothing like kind of like what Taylor was saying. Nothing can prepare you, especially for this first. I had to think back. And I'm sure Taylor's had to really think back, but his advice about um, taking care of your wife, like your wife, Tenica, will take care of the baby. Like you have to take care of Tenica. That's gonna be
Yeah.
God when this baby comes. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about specifically for a newborn is it's crazy to think it's happening tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
But I thought back to my first kid, and um, it was weird. It was different for me because I thought as soon as my boy was born, right out, I held him first thing, cut the umbilical cord, and I thought I was supposed to feel this like, this thing that other dads talk about, you know, and I didn't feel that right away, and I think there was some like I don't know like guilt or I don't know what you want to call it. I just didn't understand. But the thing is, like, this baby has been growing with and inside Tenica for the last 9 months, so they like have a
They
relationship.
already have that connection. Yeah,
They
for
already have
sure.
that connection. For me, honestly, it was like 9 months after my kid was born before, bam, it just like hit me, and then I understood what these other dads were talking about. So, um, yeah, man, like this, what'd you say, Taylor? The sideshow piece?
Yeah, you're going to be the sideshow for a while, the helper, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I want to be. And Scott, I've heard exactly what Taylor said, and I've also heard the same thing that you just said, Scott. It's like don't feel bad or guilty if you don't immediately feel like overwhelmed with love and joy, and you're not brought to tears when you first hold your baby because it's all completely new to you, and you're right. You haven't built that bond or that connection with your child yet just because you just really haven't been able to. And like I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I hold my baby tomorrow. I really don't know. But I know for a fact I'm gonna be a good dad, and I will build that bond at some point, soon, no matter what. You got something, Taylor?
Yeah, I was just talking about because like how the mom has that connection, and Scotty kind of mentioned it, right? One thing that is inarguable that will strengthen the connection with your child is when you do skin to skin contact, especially when
Yeah.
they're really young, man. Uh,
Yeah.
but that shouldn't be a problem because your shirt's always off.
yeah,
I'm gonna do that. Like my mom told me that's the first thing you're gonna do. And so, yeah, that's like really important. Like it's like
yeah,
very like even science backs that up. You need to have skin to skin with your baby, like as soon as you can. So, obviously, as soon as the baby's born, it's gonna go straight to Tunica,
yeah.
and then I'll just do skin to skin with it, whenever I can. So, Yeah, but dude, it's freaking crazy. I get a little. It's my mind's like kind of getting blown already. It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a wild day tomorrow.
Well, we have
Sorry, John.
a no, we have a little bit more advice as well because I did put it into the questionnaire this week for our clients, and it said, Coach Tanner's about to be a father this week. What is some advice you would share if you have children? So, Christina Coffey, she said, children are meant to slow your life down. Do not rush through their moments because of work or chores or what you found to be important so far in life. Her biggest regret is not allowing herself to slow down and spend more time with them, thinking she always had other things instead. So that's advice from Miss Christina Coffey. Next one comes from Sebastian Sandborg. He
Yes.
says, "I happen to be blessed with 3 kids. It's demanding but hugely rewarding. A powerful combination of true strength and true love. Good luck." So that's from
That's good.
Seb.
Yeah. It's John's longtime PT client. He's such a good person. Such a good guy.
Stephen Coffey says, "Just enjoy every second. There are no good days and bad days. There are just days. Kids are the best."
Yeah.
And so that's those are the 3 that were submitted from our clients.
Oh, that's
And
very kind of them. Thanks for asking that question to him, John. I appreciate that.
no problem, no
I really
problem.
like that.
So look, Tanner,
Really like
we
that.
wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And I hope you get some sleep over the next couple months of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not going to be great, but I'm just going to, I don't know, just man up and just deal with it. It's the only
Man,
thing I can do.
you know
Oh,
what?
you can.
You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking about is this kid's a huge advantage for you because everybody trusts a dad, you know? Like they just trust a dad more. So like people are gonna be willing to listen to you more. You're gonna have great content. Man, it's gonna be a plus for you.
I think so too. And like, um, I just, now I'm going to just be like, now I'll be like, dude, all right, this is the dad bod. This is the new dad bod. Like, I'm gonna
You
literally
knew
going to
you were
say
gonna
that.
have good content.
Of course I was. Well, like, and my goal is like, man, I'm not going to let myself slip or deviate really, hopefully at all. I know this first 2 to 4 weeks, my sleep's going to be completely, it'll be really bad. And so I'm just going to do the best I can to stay extra disciplined with my diet when you're low sleep. And I'm not going to like push myself as hard as I normally do with training. Like I was actually talking to Andrew about this like yesterday, Scott. It's like, dude, just come in like maybe 2, 3, 4 days a week if you're lucky, and just do one thing. Like maybe you're just doing 4 sets of 6 squats one day. Then the next day you go in there and hit 4 heavy sets of bench, 4 heavy sets of weighted pull-ups. That's all you're doing. Just do what I can to maintain until I do find kind of a routine. I can kind of get back into it. You know. So one thing that actually gives me a bit of confidence too is like Andrew, he just had a baby in December, so he's got pretty much a newborn. Like he still is able to train 4 days a week. We train early, but he gets it in, and he certainly has not gotten weaker since he's become a dad. Like he's strong as shit. So that's like another thing that I'm kind of using as motivation to like keep it going. And if anything, I think you should use your having kids as like even more motivation to be in even better shape. Like, don't you want to be a strong dad? Like, don't you want your kids to look up to you and be like, damn, my dad's fucking jacked, or my dad's the strongest dad in the world, or you want your kids to at least probably think that. I would want my kids to think that. I presume you probably want your kids to think that too about you.
Definitely. I mean, right now, and when that little baby pops out tomorrow, it won't
Yeah.
matter. It won't matter.
Nah, probably might not, but yeah.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's just different
Yeah.
phases. There's
Oh, for sure.
but you should be as strong. You should want to work out. You should obviously want to be as strong of a dad for all those reasons. Yeah, and for your wife.
Yeah,
For you know, all the way through every phase. Definitely yes.
I agree.
And you can also hold the baby on your sales calls and tell people you need to feed your kids. So
Yeah, absolutely. I probably will have to do that.
all right, well. we've been going on for a while now, but we are going to get to the client questions, and we're going to run through these, and then we'll let Tanner get to his peaceful night of sleep coming up. We're going to start on our client questions with Tom Moore. Tom's a great guy, and he says, as I progress in my squatting, would it benefit me more using squat wedges over just Olympic shoes, or am I better off using the shoes? Tanner?
Squat shoes all the way. I don't even like using those wedges anymore. I won't even use them. Even if I have access to them, I don't have. Actually, right now, I don't have my squat shoes. They're stuck in Dubai, and I'm too cheap to buy new ones. I've just been squatting in my normal whatever trainers without the wedge because I just don't like the wedge. And if you're having questions about using the wedge or not, if you're a client like Tom and you have squat shoes, I would just buy different squat shoes. Buy a better pair of squat shoes. I would go squat shoes over the wedge all day, every day, personally. I don't know, maybe if anyone else has any advice for that question. It's a good question.
Taylor?
I would just say I think it's important to note the difference between like a weightlifting shoe versus a powerlifting shoe, and how a weightlifting shoe is going to have about 3/4 to a full inch of heel lift. And while a powerlifting shoe might have somewhere around a half inch, it's not going to give you the same advantage or platform that a true weightlifting shoe like the Addy Power or the Antas would. So if you do need more ankle range of motion because you got tight ankles like myself, especially on one side due to injury or whatever, having a higher heeled weightlifting shoe will be advantageous.
Well, can you give us an example of, I don't know, brands that are different, or what's the difference? I know you told us that.
Adidas makes some powerlifting shoes, but when you buy the shoe, it should have the heel height on there. So, in a powerlifting shoe, will traditionally have a lower heel height than a weightlifting shoe, but your Anta weightlifters, the Nike Romaleos, the Addy Powers, those are going to be your weightlifting exclusive shoes, really.
Yeah. Tanner, which ones? You have the
I have
TYRs?
the TYR, the ones with like the wooden heel. I liked them. They do a pretty good job because they have a pretty good heel lift and they have that wider toe box. But I think, yeah, my answer would be the same as Taylor's. I've used the Romaleos. I like those a lot. I had like the old ones that were like really good. I don't think the new ones I think are good too, but the Ada Powers are good. I've never used Antas. I've always wanted to try a pair of Antas, but I've never used them. But to answer that question specifically, actually, let me ask you guys a question. If you're about to go squat whatever 405, would you feel more comfortable squatting 405 for like 10 reps using a squat wedge or being in a really solid pair of weightlifting shoes?
I mean, obviously the weightlifting shoes, but like by far, you know.
Yeah. So I think that kind of
Yeah,
hopefully that answers Tom's question and for anyone else.
well,
Yeah.
I have a question though. Okay, further, like for power cleans, can I lift in my Romaleos?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So what's the difference between, the weightlifting shoes and the ollie shoe or the power?
Oh, just a powerlifting shoe. You can find ones that just have a smaller heel. It's about the heel height. That's it. So
And that's an advantage for Olympic work.
yeah, just when you've got a higher heel, that's generally going to put you in a better position in your front squat, in your snatch position, and then your back squat position. So,
But it's a lower heel, you're saying. Sorry, go
high,
ahead.
so the Olympic lifting shoes would have a higher heel.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so I think maybe they do have powerlifting squat shoes with, an elevated heel, but not as elevated as a weightlifting shoe. Okay.
Correct.
I would just recommend that everyone gets weightlifting shoes, have the higher elevated heel. You're going to be able to get into a deeper squat more comfortably, more naturally. And I think we're all proponents of a high bar squat anyway. So I would just tell everyone just to get some weightlifting shoes from the starting point instead of even worrying about powerlifting shoes with like a slight heel lift. Just get the full heel lift.
Yeah.
Anyways, we probably could go to the next question.
Okay. This one comes from Chris. And he says, for me, do you want me to keep sugar intake at a certain level? I want to be dialed in. This London Fog tea I get before a morning workout at Starbucks has 19 grams of sugar.
Okay.
Stop getting it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I want to just answer that question so everyone can relate to it. John, can you repeat that? He's like, should he be having sugar before his workout, or should he not be having
Yeah, he,
sugar?
he gets a London Fog tea from Starbucks and has 19 grams of sugar. So I guess he's asking, should I have this?
I would definitely tell him to get other forms of carbs and sugar than going to waste his money at Starbucks. That's what I would tell him. I don't think there's anything wrong with having carbs or sugar before your workout. I mean, for most people, it's a good thing, but I definitely would not be getting or worried about getting carbs from a London tea from Starbucks. I would just cut that shit out of my diet altogether.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Right?
that's just a low quality, shitty carbohydrate.
Yeah.
It is, but here's the thing: if you're having one of those and that's your thing, and then you're going to work out, okay, that's totally fine in my opinion, as long as it's accounted for, in your overall macros. You could be drinking, energy drinks with all these additives and fake sugar and shit, and yeah, that's technically 0 calories, right? But at least it's natural sugar, you know. You just account for it if you have to have it. Just don't be drinking them all day. And really, like personally, as a rule of thumb, I try not to drink any calories. Get any calories through drinking, personally. But like realistically and specifically here, I think it's fine. As long as it's accounted for.
Yeah. Only caveat, it's if you're drinking like a protein shake, that's totally fine to get your calories from drinking protein shakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm Chris didn't put a last name, but Chris also like drink coffee, London Fog tea. Come on. All right. Next question. Christina Coffee. She says, weighted vest, good for you or hype?
Hype.
Oh. Okay.
Go ahead.
Tanner.
I would agree with Scott. Like, unless you just, and I'm trying to answer this question for everyone, but when I'm thinking of specifically of Christina Coffee, she's not overweight or anything like that. She doesn't really need to worry about burning more calories throughout the day by wearing the weighted vest. I think the best thing that she could do is just continue to get stronger and just instead of worrying about a weighted vest, like worry more about, all right, how can I add 5 more pounds to my squat from the week before? Same with my deadlift. How can I add 1 or 2 pounds to my bench press or my overhead press? Workout to workout, week to week. How can I get to my whatever first strict pull up? Like focus on that is that's way more meaningful and it'll move the needle way more than just wearing around a weighted vest because you've heard the hype on it where it can increase your overall daily calorie burn. That's a very inefficient way, I think, to lose weight or burn more calories is wearing around a weighted vest all day, in my opinion. I think it's more hype. It can work, but I don't really think the juice is worth the squeeze, if that makes sense.
Taylor. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, sorry, I can't see Taylor. I can't see him raise his hand. I'll just say this quickly though. Yeah, carrying around more muscle. Yeah, that like carrying around more muscle. That's gonna move the needle because that's gonna increase your resting metabolic rate. And that's gonna burn more fat. So, with what Tanner's saying, I'll second that. Let's work on getting stronger, putting on more muscle.
It's always the foundation.
Taylor.
Taylor, go ahead, buddy.
I just think, I mean, if you're going to use it as an appropriate weight for like weighted pull-ups or weighted dips, then that could be an effective use for it. But I don't think you should go out and invest in a weighted vest. I think your money's probably better invested in something else.
Okay, and I'm going to go counter to all you guys. I think they're good. I mean, and it just depends on what you're using it for. If you want to put a weighted vest on and go for a 30-minute walk or a hike or something like that, I don't see any problem with it. If you want to just, do some lunges and do a bodyweight workout with a vest on, I don't see any issue with it. I don't think it's something you should just wear all day and assume it's going to do wonders for you. But I think it can be really good for you if used properly. And in fact, like Taylor said, body weight stuff. You want to just get a workout in your backyard, or you're going for a hike. I think it's great.
Or just have kids, and then you have these kids hanging off you like weighted vests anyway, or all the baby bag stuff.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
John, I'm gonna just ask a question, man. How often do you wear around a weighted vest if it's so great?
I don't have one. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
I do appreciate the counter argument though.
Wow.
I want you to do it.
Yeah.
I
Just wants to be
mean,
different. He just wants to be different.
and what I will say is when I did do the CrossFit, I did wear it every once in a while, and it's effective for certain workouts. So
Hey, it just reminds me of this perfect thing. Okay, so back when I was doing CrossFit and all this stuff, I would always see these like dipshit CrossFitters that were not that good at CrossFit, or maybe they were like kind of good, but they would be doing these fucking sorry, they'd be doing these rope climbs with a weighted vest on, and they'd be like doing the ugliest kips to try to climb the rope with no legs wearing a weighted vest. When I'm like, these dipshits, if they just got stronger, did way more rope climbs just at their body weight and just got way more reps and just actually trained it without the weighted vest, they would have gotten so much better. Like, why even try to wear a weighted vest to do any kind of exercise that you can't even perform competently without the vest? Do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah, we get it.
Learn how to be faster. Get skilled at that.
Yeah, like it's people are just sometimes, in my opinion, they have no common sense, especially when it comes to certain whatever training things. All right. Anyway, sorry, that just reminded me of something.
There's also, and just we'll move on. A weighted vest looks cool, looks cool, makes you look jacked, and anyways.
I think Christina Coffee would look better without the weighted vest.
The
Wearing that,
next
that's my personal opinion.
next question comes from Matham. I'm not sure. I don't think she's a custom client, but she submitted the question.
No, no, no. I think
Any-
it's a he, actually. I think it's a he, and he is.
Oh, oh,
From
That's all
Atlanta.
right.
okay.
Yeah.
So Matham says some coaches emphasize on deloading weeks after some time of increasing weights, let's say 6 to 7 weeks. I want to know the opinion of the coaches on deloading and its effectiveness. Matham, I'll start. I think it's very effective if you are an experienced lifter. You do need to go hard and then give yourself some time, extra time to recover. I think it's quite important, and particularly if you are really feeling beat up and under strain, I think it's very effective. Tanner.
I think I think if you can squat over 400 pounds and deadlift over 500 pounds, then I think you can worry about some.
Yeah, um, I agree. I agree with that. I do. Like if you're getting stronger, and you're like, well, it's been 8 weeks, so I think it's time for a deload. Like if you have to really think about it, you know, you don't need a deload. You don't need a deload. And I like what you're saying about. You bring up a really good point. Like I'm scared to take a deload because I know, one of those things is going to come up. one of those things is going to come up. Work's going to fill up my schedule. Whatever's going to happen, you know, and it's going to be a natural. We should come up with a term for it. Just I don't know, just a natural deload.
Call them dad days.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah. I'll be honest. I have to watch my kids all day. If I'm watching my kids all day, obviously I love it. I love it. But dude, I'm wrecked. I'm not like I'm just not gonna like. If I didn't lift before that, I'm not going to. You know.
You've got to be switched on, bro, when you're watching your kids because there's threat and there's danger everywhere. All right.
Yeah, you want to
So,
talk about central nervous fatigue? Tanner was at my house, bro. My kid was falling over, and I was just like, he's fine. Like, Tanner's like, did you see that? Did you see that? I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Our next question comes from Casey Pedroza, and he says, "I know we need carbs to refuel. Does this also apply to rest days with us fat ones when we are not burning energy?" That's a good question. Taylor.
I would say that if you are a fat one, you would like to limit your carbohydrates on days that you're not training. And I think you would probably want to limit your carbohydrates in general if you have excess body fat. But yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't be too worried about it. All right. If you're just really looking at calories, right? You're trying to lose weight. It's really going to come down to calories overall. But no, I don't eat any more carbohydrates on days that I train versus days that I don't. With the caveat of if I've gone on like a longer excursion, like say I'm going ski touring or I'm doing something like that requires a significant amount of endurance, then I might eat some carbohydrates like on the hiller. But for the most part, no, man. I just worry about my protein and my calories.
Tanner. Scott, anything, Dad?
Well, you know, like there's this whole strategy, like eat slightly less carbs, you know, on the days you're not working out and stuff. And I'd say there's like that's for specific people. And Casey, just for you, man, like what Tanner's saying is extreme. For you though, what I would do is, and we've talked, we did our consultation. I would just stick to the diet that we formulated. You know, that's gonna give you long term success. It's gonna allow you to put on the most amount of muscle and still lose fat. It's enough of a deficit. So the more you can just live in the range day to day to day to day, that's gonna equate to long term success.
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you know, like Scott just said. I mean, Casey's a client of ours, and we've designed a diet that works for the entire week. So, just keep in mind that you'll be in a calorie deficit overall, and also keep in mind that on the days you're not training, that is you recovering. So just you do need fuel to recover. So that's just something I want people to keep in mind is like, don't just not eat on the days you're not working out because you do need food or you need fuel to recover. Casey's second question was, do you ever plan to hold an event where we can all come together, meet, and compete? Casey, I want you to just give us a little bit more time, and we'll have some for you. So stay tuned. Yes.
Can you give them a teaser?
Let's come lift with us. That's coming. That's coming.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Next question actually comes from Sebastian, and he says, "Are there any benchmarks, endurance, and weight lifts that can serve as reference for any given age, weight, and gender?" So, I guess the question is, what are the marks that you should basically be able to hit at certain ages and genders that are the benchmarks? What are a couple examples? This is from Sebastian. You remember Seb and his wife Kat, and yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's tough to really give hard numbers, but I think you said it the best. Yeah, kind of the double body weight dead, 1.5 body weight squat. You know exactly, yeah. Which he has all those things.
I was about to say that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I would say at 49, that's still applicable.
And Seb at 49 years old has 20 unbroken pull-ups. And then, he has the second question is real quick. What's the optimal training split? 3, 4, 5 days a week? I'm going to go ahead and say 4, Tanner. Okay. Yeah. Taylor Scott, anything?
Well, I was gonna say a 3 day. In my opinion, a 3 day gets you 95% of what a 4 day would. But just like what Tanner said, let's say you're getting you have a 4 day split, and you miss one day. Well, now all of a sudden a 3 days always going to be better if you can make those 3 days more consistently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Stephen Coffey asked the question: how accurate are the online one rep max calculators? Not saying I want to one rep max every lift, but just wondering.
Um, well, like which calculator, I guess. You
Yeah.
know.
I say they're bullshit.
Yeah.
Only because, like, okay, you can squat. Let's say you can squat 225 for 10, and it tells you you can squat 275. Well, you know what? Until you squat 275, you can't squat 275. So, when you it depends. Like maybe a 3 rep max is probably pretty a lot more accurate, or a 10 rep max. When you just yeah, you just can't simulate heavy weights. So that's kind of my point, is like it's you need to actually do the weights and do them. So yeah. Taylor.
Taylor, or did you
I
have
don't
something?
want I don't want to overthink the room, but this is one of the more useful pieces of knowledge that I've been given because one rep max calculators, there's so much variance in an individual's potential to rep out percentages of their one rep max. What I mean by that is it's called neuromuscular efficiency, which means your brain's ability to recruit muscle fibers for one explosive effort. So if you have really high neuromuscular efficiency, it means you're really, really explosive. So you might only be able to do 90% of your one rep max for maybe 1 or 2 reps. However, if somebody has a low neuromuscular efficiency, which means they're not so good at recruiting those muscle fibers, they might be able to rep 90% of the one rep max like 8, 9, 10 times, right? So it really kind of depends on how you're skewed and what your neuromuscular efficiency is to really begin. So I'd say there's just far too much variance. You haven't lifted the weight until you've lifted it, and you can kind of use a training max like Wendler kind of gives you or something. But I mean, there's no catch all. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what if you're one of these guys, and I've been one of them before, that doesn't want to do a one rep max, you know, like
Well, then I think fine. You've got, like, okay, my theoretical is this, but you still, until you've actually squatted 405, you haven't squatted 405.
fair.
That's it.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like on the basis of these strength standards, like, you know, 1.5 times your body weight on squats. Well, if you're close if you have, a 5 rep max at 85% of that weight. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's the way I kind of see it.
Okay. Um, well, what's last question here? This one comes from Brandon Osorio Hernandez, Alferhati Madrid. So Brandon. And he says, all right, sort of a long question. I'm feeling discomfort on my shoulders when I do the minimal stuff. It feels like a stinging pain sometimes. I don't know if I need to stretch more, massage like a deep tissue, warm up more, maybe the way I sleep. I know it could be a few things, but I want to avoid permanent damage and not fuck myself up when I'm getting older. Currently 26. Okay, so basically Brandon's saying he feels shoulder pain a lot of the time, and he doesn't want to have that forever. What are your thoughts? Okay. Taylor, do you have a different answer?
Oh man, if something's wrong with me, I like to know what's wrong with me. So I'd probably go to a physio or somebody who can kind of maybe help me understand what's going on with the joint and all that kind of stuff. There may be some inflammation or something. One thing you don't want to do is I know a lot of people will have some pain and they'll start working out and they'll be like, well, every time I start working out, this shit just feels better. That pain goes away. Well, that's not your body getting better, man. That's your body and adrenaline adapting you to the stress that you're about to put it through and solving that temporarily for you. So if you really don't want to fuck yourself up, go get somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about to check it out, right? And then kind of progress from there. But
Yeah. Okay. Scott?
Well, and Brandon, I know you, man, and you listen to the podcast. In your line of work, you probably there could be a lot of reasons why your shoulder hurts, even if it happened outside of the weight room. Either way, you're feeling it in the weight room. Just get it checked out. Get it checked out. You're right. You
Yeah.
don't want to. You're having a kid. You don't want to mess up this thing any longer. Go ahead, Tanner.
yeah. And I'm not saying don't train either. I mean, you can obviously try to train and stuff for it, but you don't want to grind through it and have something that's kind of bothersome turn into like some significant arthritic, diagnosis, man. Right. So it's just better. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So my answer is going to be actually basically following what Scott and Taylor have said and kind of the opposite to Tanner because I've never had shoulder surgery. So Brandon, I'll give you a really quick story. When I was in university, I had shoulder pain for like 3 years. Eventually, I saw a shoulder specialist, and he looked at me, and he like looked at, and he went, "Your chest is too tight." And my chest was starting to roll forward a bit because I did a ton of bench, and I didn't do enough mobility and stuff on my. And once I got my chest opened up and stretched, it actually then it stopped pulling on the shoulder on the back and that pain went away. And it was so like that's kind of my answer is yes, see a professional, get them to figure out what's causing the pain, what the root of it is, and hopefully it's something like just this your lat's tight or this is tight, you work it out, you kind of, and then things are good. So that's my advice, not a little different than Tanner's.
That's true too. Can I just also say you guys brought up the dead hangs, and that was great advice because I've been implementing those this past week, and my shoulders feel great. So
Yep.
thank you.
It's oh, sorry. Dead hangs are probably one of those things. I think I do them. Yeah, I would say twice a week, 3 times. We're just hang from bar for 30 seconds, twice, 3 times, and just let yourself like. It's a good natural position. Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, look, this has been an hour and 20 minutes. Appreciate hanging out with you guys. I enjoy it. Uh,
Likewise.
so look, next week we're going to be back. It'll be a different situation for Tanner. So hey, man, we honestly wish you the best.
Just just don't go to the gym while she's in labor. Like very smart. Very smart.
You're when you get that skin to skin, your baby's going to just remember that hard ass chest.
If you shave
Oh,
your
good
chest, you
point.
might have to stop doing that.
Yeah, they like the hair, bro. They need the hair. You think I'm going skin to skin with my boys? No way.
All right, Tanner and everyone. Taylor, have a good day. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all take care. Good talk.
Later.